Hey, Redcasters, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Go Big Red.
The first thing we do when recruits show up here on their official visit is we don't go do some fancy thing. We take a picture with them, and then we walk them right out into the field. And we show them, hey, here's the number of sellouts in a row, and here's the All-Americans. And then we talk about the field and how our hope someday is that they win a championship on that field, but also that they graduate on that field. And how the University of Nebraska is not a football factory. It's a place of development, and that's a proof of it, that you can sell out for 400 straight games, and you can lead the country in academic All-Americans. Now, they've changed some of the parameters and they're giving some away to other people, but we've been the leader in that for a long time. So it's just a perfect blend of everything, right? And it's what drew me here. It's what draws other people here. So I think getting to 400 will be great. My job, though, is to make sure that we win that game so that people leave happy about it, not anything else. So I'm just trying to stick to football.
Welcome to the Go Big Redcast, the Husker Fan Sports Show.
Welcome to the Go Big Redcast. Matt Rhule.
What's up, Redcasters? 3-0. Feels good. Feels real nice. It's comfortable. I'm not too anxious about it. The water's warm. How you feeling, Honk?
Well, boring is best, right?
Kind of.
3-0.
Kind of.
3-0, and I love being able to critique, not complain. There's a big difference.
Oh.
I love being able to critique a 34-3 victory. Where you hit the spread again. We dominate a team.
Are we at 3-0?
I think we are against that. Yeah.
All right, Vegas.
I don't know. I'm just really comfortable with where we're at right now. It's a great start to the season. The team looks better each week in certain areas. A couple spots they maybe, I don't know if I'd say take a step back, but this was a different team we played this week. We're going to go through some of the film and show some of that.
Yeah.
Also, it's kind of fun when you're watching other teams ball out too. That quarterback for Northern Iowa, other teams have scholarship players too, and that guy was a baller. He played his tail off, and we'll show that on a couple of the third down conversions that they got, which is what played a big role into them keeping the ball away from us so long in the first quarter. We're going to go through that drive a little bit during our film breakdown, but I get all the credit in the world to Northern Iowa. Great people. We met some of them on the pregame show that we did up on the beer house on the rooftop. Met a former player there that came in and talked to us for a while. That's a proud program. And so I just think that was a good game for us to prep for what we're going to start to see in the Big Ten. It's physical football. They have some offensive linemen. They're going to be NFL caliber guys. They had a 6'3", 240 running back. Yeah. And like I said, that quarterback was a baller. So I'm pleased. 34-3.
Well, look, the bottom line is a lot of teams at Northern Iowa's level give a lot of teams at our level problems.
Mm-hmm.
That's not uncommon for a team at that level to come out and bang with some big boys better than they're supposed to. There's been some losses this year to teams at that level. So you could say we didn't dominate that game. And in a lot of ways, you might be right. That could be true. It wasn't totally like a domination where you could point to it, but boy, I don't know. If you look at it a little differently, it's like I've seen us struggle with those teams and them stay on the field for a long time. But the bottom line is, Matt, it took them 300 yards to get 3 points.
Yeah.
We scored on our first 3 drives. We were pretty much always in control. The game, like even as long and as frustrating as the defensive series were, we get the ball back and go down the field and score. I'm like, that's the difference in this game as opposed to some of the years in the past. We also wouldn't score again on our drive, and then we turn it back to them and then have the ball for another 8 minutes, and then maybe they get a field goal. And you know what I'm saying? The difference is, holy shit, we've got a really good quarterback. It turns out he's just about as good as everybody thought. Certainly good enough at this point for us Husker fans to rely on him to make mostly good choices, right? Like he's earned the right for us to expect him to make mostly good choices. He's got a pretty good arm. So quarterbacks who make mostly good choices and have a pretty good arm, that's all we're asking for from this quarterback this year with the way our defense plays and some of the other skill position guys we have. So this game it was just kind of a slug out. I mean, Northern Iowa kept the ball. They made some good plays. They stayed totally within what they wanted to do. They were never behind the chains. You know, they just get 3, 4, 3, 4, go 4 and 4th. What the hell do they have to lose? And you got to respect it. That's exactly how they should have played us. It gave us their best chance to win, and we beat them pretty badly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think your point there, it didn't in some ways feel dominant because we were so efficient. I mean, when we got the ball, we scored.
Yes.
We only had the ball 4 times in the first half, but we scored on the first 3 drives. So from a scoreboard standpoint, it was never really in contention. We were never in a point where I was nervous about how we were playing. And your point there, Dave always brings up points per yards per point.
I know that was a shout out to Dave when they did
it
that.
was. It's 300
Gaspers,
yards.
that's for you.
300 yards to score 3 points. It took them 100 yards of field to score 1 point. That's not good.
No, quite bad, really.
That's not good. You go back to some of those Iowa teams that would have a terrible offense, but would win by defensive scores and special team scores, and they would score 30 points on 300 yards.
Points
right?
per minute, they were god awful. I mean, they had the ball forever and scored 3 points. Forever and scored 3 points. It wasn't just the yardage, the time.
Well,
they're a football black hole, man. They just
well, I love some of the comments here right now. Theo, winning feels good. Jamie Dougal, life is good in Huskerland. GBR. Matt says Rhule over 70% in his first 3 games.
Word up.
And there's Tony saying 400, meaning the 400 sellout Friday night against Illinois. I think that's a great
and your bench, your personal bench. PR.
I just think it's a great time to be a Husker fan. And I think it's going to be a celebration here on Friday night.
It's a cool game because we did learn some things. We learned about some maybe weaknesses or ways to get out the field a little bit quicker against a team that's really determined to run. And we learned it in a victory going away, and we learned it in a game where the defense still mostly, showed up. So it's like, what a great setup game going into conference play. This did nothing but help us. As opposed to like when I don't mean to keep throwing it back to Colorado, but I still, whatever, I'm still riding that a little bit. But North Dakota State definitely told us Colorado wasn't very good. Although, hey, they beat Colorado State. Good for them. Good for them. They're good with those state schools so far.
That's right.
Kansas State, watch out.
BA Coaches Show, the day we get Matt Rhule on Matt's Rule will be the most epic day of all time.
Oh, my God, it has to happen.
We have to.
I don't know.
Tim Wolf already has a prediction, 38-27 Huskers. So I would take 4-0 right now. How about that?
Yeah, man.
Anthony or Tony talked about the 400 sellout. I want to highlight this. I don't know if you know the Wagners from Columbus. I grew up. Jeff and Steve were friends of mine. Doug was friends
the
of
ones
my
that
parents.
you were neighbors with?
They lived in the area, the general area.
There were a lot of Wagners in Columbus, if we're being fair.
Oh, no, that was a different Wagner, the one that was neighbors. But anyways.
See what I mean?
Someone that
there were many different
I'm going to do I think I'm going to do a fan forum with Doug. He's friends with my parents. His dad, Ralph, is 97 years old. And here's a photo of him.
That's an awesome name for a 97-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on.
Here's a
Ralph,
photo of him
perfect.
From this season. He has been going to games sitting in the same seat for 60 years since 1964. And that's his
that's a good seat,
his daughter.
Ralph.
Yeah, that's his daughter there, South Stadium. That's his daughter holding up a sign that said 60 years in the same seat. We're going to get him on a fan forum here.
A winning season.
Let's give him a winning season. Let's also, I'd love to see him
97?
get 97 years old. Yep.
And that was the last year that we had won a national
championship.
And we're 3-0.
He's missed 4 games, Mac. 4 games since 1964.
All right.
That's insane.
That
is
insane.
That's incredible. And that's,
that's a lot of bullshit. I mean, if we're going to be honest, if you're going to be honest, how many times everybody who's gone to a game gets a little frustrated with the crowds from time to time, just the bathroom situation. This guy's been doing it. He's missed 4 games.
Yeah.
That's insane.
4 games since 1964.
He's a man of God. I promise you. That kind of patience is remarkable. Good for you, man.
Yeah, that's what Husker
That's amazing.
Husker football is all about.
That's amazing.
Man. So, yeah, BA Coach's Show thinks 69-3, and the Husker fans complain about the defense some more. Probably. Yeah, I mean, they shouldn't give up 3. BA, we got to shut somebody out sometime. Come on.
We don't hold the standard, we don't hold the standard. Okay, we got to have it.
Scott from Generation Red says 28-17. Nebraska bet on it. Jamie says D-line
28-17,
needs to bring the
fine
juice
with
like
that.
they did against the Colorado game. And all those are true. Now, I think, as we get into the film here, bringing the juice and what the defense does against Illinois is different than what they would do against a UTEP or a Colorado in terms of the offense. It was a spread offense. The team that we played here this last week, they brought something different. They brought more of a Big Ten tight.
Well, what do you think?
Three tight ends.
What do you think he means when he says bringing the juice?
Oh, I think just in general, defensively, there's a little bit of a narrative that came out of the game that we were just a little off. We weren't tackling as well. I'll tell you what.
You didn't think we were?
I didn't really have an issue with the effort. I think that.
But the tackling, not the effort.
I didn't have a huge issue with the tackling. It can always be better. Okay. I mean, they always keep improving on it, but this wasn't, we didn't have a crazy amount of whiffs or anything.
I'll say you're 100% right.
Mm.
It was not god awful on the effort wise. At some point, you kind of have to tip your hat to a team that knows what it's doing a little bit.
Well, you know what? Normally we start with
they
offense.
weren't getting gashed. I mean, the yards aren't that crazy.
How about this? We usually start on offense with our video breakdown, but let's start actually on the defensive side. Let's go through that, and we'll end with the offense. Okay,
Sure,
so here,
give the people what they want. I think
this first one here is a minute 24, Mac, of just pure bliss. It's
all right.
It's third down defense. When I say pure bliss, I mean terrible, because this is why they had so many yards against or so many minutes against us in the first half. It was they got third down after third down conversion, but each one was different. This first one here, in fact, I'm going to go back to it real quick. I'm going to go back. I want to go back. Watch Bullock up here, number 5.
I see him.
So number 5 is up on top right here, and he gets blocked in there. He gets screened in. That's what opens up on this little rollout, that throw to the right.
Sure enough.
So he's not covering him there. And
who's the outside guy?
There's Gifford deep. I'm not sure. Now, here's the second one. This is we rush 4, and they release the running back here. Okay, rush 4. They're getting pressure on the QB. Aiden Dunn, number 10 QB. Telling you, the guy was a baller, steps up in here, throws a little side pass there to the running back who released out. We were playing a little bit deep. Guy goes to make the tackle there. I mean, it's not a missed tackle. Now, you could say that we played back a little bit. Here's the third one, 3rd and 2. They run up the gut on us, and we get a stop. We get a stop, so they're down to 4th and inches after this play. Yeah. It's a good stop there, right?
It is.
3rd and short. We get the stop. But each one of these, by the way, they're extending the drive. They're getting to another set of 4 downs. So here's on 4th and 1 is the next one, and it's a QB keeper here.
Yeah.
They get real tight. We took the running back. I mean, that running back went nowhere. I think that's Nash or Ty,
honestly,
one of the 2 guys. And then, he goes and gets 2 yards.
He should have crashed a little harder on that after seeing what Nash did. I mean, once Nash destroyed this, I mean, look at that. That was an amazing play by Nash. He literally blew up the middle. That play probably should have been stopped, but it's just one of them things.
That was 4 plays right there, kind of a collage of them. That was all off the one first drive where they ended up getting about 10 minutes of play.
Yeah.
Okay, now we scored a touchdown right away. Didn't take us very long. We kicked the ball to them. They basically keep it the rest of the second or the rest of that half. Only get a field goal out of it. We're up 7-3. We get the ball back. We score again. Again, it doesn't feel like it's dominating, but it was extremely efficient. Offensively, we were very efficient with the ball. And once they scored that 3, they never scored another touchdown again. But they were able to extend some drives on those third downs. And some of them, there might be a little breakdown here, or they did that good pick play on Bullock to get the guy open, or sometimes the quarterback just makes a really good play. Now,
for the NCAA football players out there, they're basically like a real life version of the chew clock mode that you can put it on, so it takes the play clock all the way down to 7 automatically, unless you're running motion, then it gives you like 12 seconds.
Well, here let's show the actual drive 1 stop. So this would be 3rd and 2. So this is the third down where we do stop them, force a field goal here. They go empty in the backfield here.
Silly.
We bring 5. So you're going to hear how many times we say, did we bring 4? Did we bring 5? We brought 5 against an empty backfield. That QB had to get rid of the ball immediately, throws it into the corner. Buford makes a nice play, one-on-one, and that ends the drive there.
Gorgeous.
Okay, that ends the drive. Now, again, they got 10 minutes out of this drive. So I'll give them efficiency, a high efficiency rating. They kept the ball away from us there. It's exactly what they wanted to do early, but these are the only points that they're going to score in the game. And our offense, anytime that we got the ball, was scoring touchdowns and putting more pressure on them. Okay, Now, fast forward to drive 2, and there's going to be 2 plays in a row here. The first one, we're going to bring pressure in the face of the quarterback of Dunn. And again, I'm going to say hats off to this guy for making this play. And then the stop, they go empty, and we bring 4 and do a double zone blitz. So watch this. First one here. Okay, 3rd and 7. And how many do we bring? Let's count. We got 3 down plus the stand-up. We're bringing 4 guys.
4, yep.
And I think that's Princewell on top and gets the hand up, exactly what you'd want. He gets it right in his face. I mean, that QB doesn't have much time.
Right.
Throws it. That receiver makes an acrobatic catch there in between his zone.
That's crazy.
I mean, at some point, I give credit. I don't think we played poorly on that. Now, this is the one where we actually stop them, and looks like we have 6 guys up on the line. The 2 outside guys actually drop back in a short zone blitz. The 2 inside guys, I think it's a Robinson and Robinson knocks it down. It was going to be a little screen across the middle, but here's the
dude to try to throw the ball over.
Oh,
yeah. When he jumps and he fully extends, he's 6'5". That's a lot to get a lob over.
Yeah. So here's the one again. Princewell gets his hand up in the face. And again, like you're saying, so actually no different than the play where we actually knocked the ball down. Princewell's getting his hands up. We've got 6'4" and 6'5" and 6'6" guys along the D line. I mean, this is a big part of the defense. If we can start knocking down some more passes too, that's going to be huge. But yeah, look at this. They dropped the 2 guys back on the outside, so we only rush 4. This is all a numbers game on the rush, and very rarely do we bring anything other than 4. I mean, it's very conservative if we only bring 3, and it seems like we're blitzing like mad if we bring 5. I don't know if I've seen 6 yet. I mean, it is, if we bring 5, we're coming, but most of it is a really well-designed. It looks like we're going to bring 5 or 6, and then by the time it's all done, guys are dropping back, and we only have 4 coming. The last one here, and this is, again, these are all just 3rd down plays. So on that second drive, they extended it with that hell of a throw that he threw, and then we got off the field knocking that one down. Here's the 3rd drive, and this is an extension of the possession, and I'm just going to say this is a baller play by this quarterback. We have a good pressure coming on him. Yeah. There's 4 guys coming again.
It's time to get him.
Yep. And he gets up.
How did he get out of that?
Just gets out of that tackle there. I think that was Princewell again. And he's running. It's almost like he can see the yellow line. And so, And so
near misses.
That was, I know there's a lot of talk again, but bad tackling or whatever. I don't necessarily see bad tackling. There might be a play here or there, but that wasn't something systemic in the game. And again, I love, by the way, having this conversation on the game where we held the team to 3 points.
Yeah, man.
Like that's fun too, right? But really, to me, that was a game of 3rd down defense, not getting off the field a couple key times. Some of the times, there's things that we could do a little different. Sometimes you tip the cap to the other team and say, "Hey, man, that guy made a real good play."
Yeah.
And you try to learn from
it. It is football. The other team is allowed to do stuff too. So
yeah. Tony here, that's also incredibly disciplined play by Bullock to not take a cheap shot against the QB there.
Yeah, nice to see.
Aaron says control the game, the clock, and get the backups reps while the starters rest. Yeah. Jamie Dougal, 35-21 in you. So, yeah, I think just defensively, I thought that's what I kind of wanted to focus on there a little bit was just what did we see? Why were they able to keep those drives going? It wasn't just blown assignments and things like that. There were plays that were made, and credit to UNI, also credit to the defense that the scoring ended at 3.
I guess, you look at it and it's like, well, maybe that's just is what it is. If some team really wants to bear down and they're really good at running the football, they're probably going to get about that many yards. However, things change down in the red zone, and then can your red zone stuff stiffen up?
Yep.
So it just might just be how it is. I don't know. I don't know enough about, because to your point, it wasn't like our guys were getting whipped. It wasn't like you saw the line of scrimmage moving. They were scheming us nicely.
Yeah, when Bullock got picked in there, I mean, that's now I don't.
There were times
for life, man. I don't know. Sometimes picks get called and sometimes they don't. But that pick that they had, I mean, that was what made that guy get that open on that first 3rd down, that little rollout where he threw it. So, again, that they schemed us there, and that's something for us to watch out for, and something for Tony White to look at on film and see if they can eliminate those kind of
Right.
issues, because no doubt Illinois sees that. And
They were willing to be very physical, you know, and it's cool when your whole team's willing to be very physical.
Mm-hmm.
It makes up for a lot of stuff. And it's not that I don't think we're physical too. I do think we are. That's, I think, why we won the way we did. I mean, people can be frustrated if you want to, but the score looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly there were some plays left out on the field. I mean, Rhule is very close to making the slight adjustment he needs to start hitting on these bombs.
Well, you're segueing us to offense here, but Jamie does say, Matt, you should see if you can get your hands on our tendency sheet for our opponents for these film sessions. It'd be awesome to compare. Yeah, I mean, that would take some time too. Just doing these takes some time. Oh, to get our tendency sheet for our opponents for these film sessions would be awesome to compare. You know, kind of, I think trying to do a little bit of game planning ahead towards Illinois. That would be awesome. I would love to get some of that. Just depends on how much time to put
it would be absolute. I mean, I like
these
the idea.
damn jobs.
Like when you said it, I was like, oh, that sounds like fun. And I thought, when would I ever have time to do, like, I can maybe rewatch the game once, and then I try to, it's just, you get little clips here and there. But I agree. Hey, man, I think somebody should do that, and I think you should tell us which podcast does it, because I mean, that would be cool.
Absolutely.
Well, but when the Young Bucks would do it though.
There's always those guys that have more energy than us, I guess. All right, so let's go to the offensive side here, Mac. And we're going to start here. This is 2 minutes and 11 seconds of some plays that are strung together. So it's.
I like that you tell us how long it'll be.
Well, it's
considerate.
It's 3 plays, and each one is going to be shown twice. Okay.
Okay.
These are all similar type of plays. They're motion pole plays. So we're going to have somebody in motion, and then usually there's a tight end that's going to be pulling from left to right or right to left. Sometimes there's going to be a guard coming along with it. But the idea is defensively, you're going to be seeing a lot of the same stuff, no matter just the eye candy, whatever you want to call it. It's going to look similar, but we do so many different things out of that same look.
So you want me to stress my focus on what the defense is having to read, or the results?
Yeah, just put yourself in the.
Tell me where to put it.
Put yourself in the mind of being
my gaze.
Put yourself in the mind of a middle linebacker watching this.
All right.
Okay.
Whoa.
So let's start here, and this is going to be first play here. Kind of a crisscross. We've got the right guard and the right tight end are coming across. The receivers going from left to right. So there's an X kind of look there from the defense. Hand it off up the middle to Dowdell. Gets 10 yards. They're going to replay it
As
here.
a middle linebacker, I'd have to say I didn't do well on that play.
So here we go. Let's watch it. Watch it again here.
No, watch it from the middle linebacker.
Guy goes in motion to the right, and then 2 guys are coming from the right to the left. So the tight end and the right guard. You know, they create the hole. Dowdell hits it hard, goes up for about 10 yards.
That would be so good from the all 22 view.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's such a mass of people that go through there. But look at that.
So look at this one. Your second play. Now, receiver goes from right to left in motion. Snap the ball. We're out of the pistol set. Tight end goes from right to left, like he's going to block down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Play action. Nope. Tight end slips out.
Yeah.
Throw the ball out to him. Now watch the receiver downfield.
Missed the block again.
This is a block.
I mean, he doesn't even
This is becoming a bit of a trend here on
is
some
that
of
18
on the film session. I think this one was 16. Okay, 18.
Oh my God.
18 doesn't get a great block, but he is actually kind of running a route. But watch this. So again,
I can't believe.
But put yourself in the middle
him.
linebacker. There's the motion that you just saw. Now you're seeing the tight end pull. You've got a good play action there from the quarterback, and the tight end just slips out.
Mm-hmm.
If that receiver up top makes it a good block there. Now, what I will credit 16 for is he missed a block there, but watch him now. Watch him right there. He's coming up, and he hits 3. At least you know what? You missed a block, but you're not just sitting there pouting.
Bonner's a better player than that.
Now, this is the last one.
I'm really glad that wasn't Mayor.
Receiver goes in motion. Tight end goes in motion. Yeah. And we've got a little inside reverse to that tight end.
Adorable.
Now we're handing off to him with the left guard is also pulling. So the left guard pulls, the left tight end in the backfield or the left slot pulls.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the guy in motion. That one went to, I think that was Bonner. And then there's even a little bit of an option look out of it, too.
I'm going to tell you right now, that play is super cool looking.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll ever work. I think I love everything. I'm like, oh, man, I hope this thing. They always seem to do exactly that. 2 yards, you know, kind of like. But if it sets something else up, cool.
Yeah.
And if it ever works, that would be our like a Corey Schlesinger kind
It
of.
was one more
like
thing
left
too. It's also one more thing that they have to prepare for now.
Right.
I mean, look, you're giving a similar look every time. You're motioning somebody pre-snap. Sometimes you're pulling that tight end, that guard the opposite way. So that first play, there was literally a cross going between motion guy and the guys that are pulling. And then on the pass play, you put the guy in motion and you pull the guy alongside him, which then the guy in motion becomes kind of like a lead blocker.
For sure.
So we talked about that a little bit last week. There was some plays that they were doing that against Colorado.
I like the offense.
I do.
Let's have a conversation about this. Right?
Yeah.
Let's just pull her back. Let's take we got a 3-game view here, Matthew. Yeah. And what do you think of this offense?
I love this, what I would call eye candy, but it's not just eye candy. It's not just, we're not just doing motions and shifts just to do them, just to be cool. Like when we're pulling guys, and then that guy stays in motion, running full speed and cuts up field and becomes the receiver. So a week ago against Colorado, when we missed Lloyd by inches, that is a play where he starts off just like those 3 you watched there. Yep. He started off from left to right in motion, never stops. So he's not going from left to right and then setting. Right. He is staying in motion the whole time. Snap it, and he is off. And you know how fast Lloyd is. He's off. And by the time he was 5 yards down the field, he had already whooped the guy that was going to be covering him.
And that's kind of the thing with that guy, that play, and a guy with Lloyd's speed. The guy's angle has to be right early. Yeah. If you're wrong on your angle, it's going to be hard to correct with Lloyd's speed. You know, like you might be able to adjust for it if you're a good athlete, but like he was not athletic enough to adjust for it. You know, Lloyd could have caught that. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Dylan's just starting to dial this in, but getting back to the offense.
Well, just from a schematic standpoint with the offense. So you're stretching this the defense out from sideline to sideline in the process.
Right.
You've got to cover when they throw that little out pass there to Fedoni on just a little play action and a little throw out there when he's doing his pull. When you're having to cover the offense from sideline to sideline, and then we give you the exact same motion and hit Dowdell at the gut, and he hits the gut as hard as he does.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's
like it becomes really
doesn't
hard.
It make our offensive line look better? Doesn't our offensive line look so much better this year? Like, think how good our pass protections look this year.
Yeah,
those guys, Rhule has had a lot of time, and the other thing that Rhule is showing is he's pretty good about making the first blitzer miss, and that is a humongous while simultaneously, I'm just getting excited. Okay. Keeping his eyes downfield to make a play.
You're too good at this, Mac. I promise we have not actually gone through these plays together, but you just segued me into the next 3 here. These are all different plays where Dylan is basically Dylan's basically evading some kind of pressure here. So let's look at this first one here.
The press.
So this is that little play action, and then he kind of rolls to the right, and this guy comes clean. Now this, ideally, you don't have this guy coming clean. I mean, they're at least not that hard, but he makes him miss.
He makes him look foolish.
Had him
dead to rights.
And the second that he made him look foolish, you knew that this was going to be open. You just knew it. I mean, now all of a sudden he had all the time in the world, and he's going to throw it down there to Lloyd. Let's look at it one more time, because we also pull a lineman, or at least a lineman ends up going all the way out to the right. Who would it have been? Oh, I think it might have been our left. Is that Lutovsky? I don't know. He turns around, but anyways, he starts pulling out to the right. Point is, we don't want to have that kind of pressure.
Though, look.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's probably designed.
That was really good.
That's probably designed, but we ran that right into they couldn't have called a better defensive play against that in terms of getting the blitzer. But to your point, Dylan evaded. So there's a good example of Dylan just flat out making a guy miss.
It's a good example of a lot of things.
Now here on this one, they're going to blitz this linebacker, and Lutovsky and the center both double team on the lineman, but then this blitzer gets right around Lutovsky, kind of a delayed blitz, and it's Rhule in the pocket. He is, look at this beautiful throw, dude. Jeez, into that zone.
That was nice.
Right down there to Barney. But look at this blitzing linebacker here. This isn't fast. And so I think this is a communication thing, because clearly Lutovsky wants to get him. You can see right there he's just slow on the adjustment. But if he picks that guy up, Rhyle's got all day in that pocket.
Yeah, and he
As
if
is,
that
he
ball
still
was able
just
to-
evades people enough to make that throw.
That probably wasn't going to be 6, at least not that particular read, but that was that was a special. That's a special play.
That's a special play and this is kind of the Dylan section right now. These 3 plays. This one might be my favorite that we're going to show you here.
Big statement.
Watch Benhart on the right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Benhart gets forced inside with that defender, and at least good on Benhart. They kept pushing him that way. Look how Rhule just stepped to the right. He basically creates his own pocket. His right tackle by the time he's throwing it is on the left side of him.
What the hell are we watching here, man?
And it's this evading the defense. He just figures out where, and he doesn't look pressured.
Watch this.
He calmly steps to the right here, and then stops and steps up into what is kind of the new pocket. This wasn't perfectly created. They didn't draw it up that way, but he just finds a way to make it. And
he's a maestro, dude.
And then throws, a really nice pass there across the middle to Banks. And Banks uses his 6'4" frame to keep the defender away.
Look at him. He doesn't have to do anything extra to generate power. No big hop. He scooted forward, took a step, slingshot right where I need it. I mean,
it was not a perfect play, and yet the result was perfect. A first down pass there, right?
Should be very frustrating to a defense.
Yeah, if you're the defense, you feel
super frustrating.
You feel like we got pressure on him. We got everything we wanted to do. Man, he had this is a tough pass to have to complete, and he made it look easy. He threw it right across.
He really does. And the thing is, when he made this, he just sort of ran down to the line of scrimmage and started calling the next play. He never gets overhyped for just what plays within the drive. He'll get excited for touchdowns, but I really like his demeanor out there. He's not a look at me guy, kind of hooping and hollering. He's very much about his team. He's very much about his teammates. And I really, there's 5-star talent and I love watching him play, but that extra part to him about how he interacts with the team and about how he just represents himself and the look he has with his family on the sideline. You really got to appreciate that as a fan. He's something special, folks.
Yep.
And 3 games in, I'm feeling totally confident in saying this because basically we know all we need to know.
Tony says it's so nice to have an offense that the primary source of rushing yards comes from running backs and not the QB. 100% agree. That said, I'm going to move down to a different play here, and we're going to go down to the 4th this is 3rd and 1, and we get into a tight set, and this is where he fakes the handoff in, and there's the quarterback. Rhule takes off on top.
Oh, yeah.
And basically goes untouched for about 10, 15 yards. Back to Tony's point, I
appreciate him not trying to pull a hamstring on this little trot.
Yes. Back to Tony's point, this is not an offense that's based around the quarterback running, but this play right here, this is a big play because it just shows more dimension to the offense. We talked about it a week ago against Colorado when he broke out of that one pressure and got the first down. Here's a planned call. Where he's going to run it. And again, this is like coming out of a timeout, I think, and this is why the camera's so far back when it starts. But there aren't receivers on the field. This is a tight set. This is double tights, or there might be 3 tight ends on the field, and they fake the handoff up the gut, and the whole defense, everyone's inside the box, and Rhule just goes outside, and that's an untouched 15-yard play. Again, it's so efficient. It's so efficient when you can run.
Terribly efficient.
When you can go for 15 yards and not get touched.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I like it.
I want to focus on a couple plays here now. That would be the Carter Nelson series.
Oh, my God.
2 plays in a row. First one here is the Nelson screen. And when you think about this, Mac.
I think about
it. When you think of it, you can see the blue line, the line of scrimmage. They throw it to him. We know this well. Look, the foot's down. He catches it on the blue line. Beautiful. This is important because he has left guard, center, and right guard downfield.
Look, if that ref wasn't there, this would have been a humongous.
And Mac, we saw it at the end of the game where they originally called Barney downfield, and then they did the replay and they called back. You're going to run these kinds of screens. You got to make sure that you're catching the ball behind the line of scrimmage. So Nelson, true freshman, does a great job catching that behind the line of scrimmage, and he has left guard, center, right guard in front of him, plus a damn referee that wouldn't get out of the way. But, that's an awesome screen.
Awesome. Perfectly executed.
Perfectly executed screen right there.
You know what that requires, too? A great snap. That snap was perfect. It hit him right in the hands. Like, the snaps have been good this year.
The fact that we haven't talked about one snap.
Oh shit.
I mean that, but we talked about it all offseason too. So I don't feel like knocking on wood's needed. Is that we said all offseason that that's a benefit that this young Rhule, we didn't know how good he would be in his first 3 games, but at least the one thing he wasn't going to have to be concerned about was the snap. We didn't have any reason to think that was going to be an issue. It hasn't been. And to your point, it allows him to do nothing but look downfield.
Isn't it funny? Like, at the beginning of the season when we had no idea what Rhule was going to be, most everybody I talked to said, I just want him to be good with the football, efficient, help, getting the ball to the playmakers. Like, that's all I really want him to be this year. That's enough. Well, wouldn't you say that's exactly what he's doing? Like, exactly. And also he's got some superstar qualities that he sprinkles in from time to time. Like, he's already at the level that most fans were the most optimistic saying that he could be this. This is, and with our defense and our running backs and our skill position players, we should be a good enough offense to move the ball with these coaches, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's it. And this is basically what we're seeing. And it's basically working out the way we were kind of hoping it would be. And the infusion of these young guys, though, like what you just pointed out.
So this next play is going to be the Nelson touchdown. And when you talk about young guys and new guys, I mentioned that we scored on our first 3 touchdown drives.
Yes.
Those 3 guys that scored those touchdowns, not a single one of them was on the team last year. Okay. You got Barney, you've got Nair, and you've got Nelson making those catches. Who's the guy throwing it to him? Obviously, it's Rhule. You've got some young bucks in there, and yet it's young bucks with old guys around them. In fact,
those old guys are pretty important.
I want to play this little 56-second clip from Herb Street first, and then we'll get back to the Nelson one. But this is Herb Street talking about this on Saturday morning for the game, that we're old and we're young.
Thing about Colorado and Nebraska, I'm going to flip it to Nebraska because a lot of people now are excited about Rhule and what this team can do. Just for people, the reason I think a lot of people like Nebraska early in the year is he's around a veteran team. Rhule is a young guy, he's a true freshman. But 17 of these guys played last year. They looked physical last week. Matt Rhule, just for a history lesson, when he went to Temple in year 1, they were 2-10. By year 3, they were 10-4. He went to Baylor, 1-11 year 1. Year 3, 11-3. The guy knows how to take a program that's struggling, build it up, get itself to believe, change the culture. And it wasn't just they beat Colorado. They smashed them with the line of scrimmage, linebackers downhill, the running back taking on Shiloh Sanders, running right through him. To me, it's a personality. I said last week they're 7-0 when they go to Columbus. I feel that even more emphatically about what's going on. That is a stock to buy right now, Nebraska.
That's a stock to buy, Mac, and it's an old team, veteran team, but as we mentioned, a true freshman quarterback. And 3 guys that scored the first 3 touchdowns, none of them on the team last year. Yeah. It's this great melding together of talent, of players, of building a team up. We posted something to Twitter that has gotten quite a response, and it was the end. I don't know if you saw it. It was the end of the Colorado State game, and Shedeur is still out there at the very end, and he's throwing around. And the guy who's doing the TV for the game is like, "What are they doing? Get your, why are you still throwing the ball deep here? Why are you still keeping your, and then Shadeur's taking some hits. And we just posted that's the difference between trying to build a program and build a resume. And I mean, look, what Rhule is doing here. I love these games, these UTEPs in Northern Iowa's where you have so many backups getting on the field. So many guys are going to probably end up playing meaningful minutes at some point as the season goes on. Yeah. I never thought that Nelson would play those meaningful minutes that early in the game, this early in the season. I thought maybe he would be that in game 6 or 7, especially if knock on wood, an injury or anything would happen. But like for him to be highlighted, these plays I'm showing you are the first drive. That's the first touchdown. In fact, so let's see the first touchdown.
What I was going to say is one of my favorite things about the staff is how they rotate. Yeah. I love how many young guys they get in. I love how they use the 4-game rule. I love how they communicate with these players about maybe like an unconventional red shirt on your sophomore year, you know, so that you're still going to be a great player.
Malachi,
let's pause the eligibility and get you right. So we can really like that. To me is one of my favorite things the staff is doing. That, the wins we're getting this year are great and warranted, but it's like this isn't a flash in the pan. This is like, you're seeing what's being developed here. You're seeing like, okay, will there be a dip next year? Likely. I mean, when you lose that much on your offensive line, but you're really seeing the mitigation of that right now. And I love that about it. So like the fact that we're winning right now is great.
Well, Lutovsky playing in the place of Mazuka last week, and he will again this week. Lutovsky is a guy that will be coming back next season. So there's a younger player. Let's see, Lutovsky is a
junior.
Yeah, he's a junior, and so he's been, obviously he's called up right now. If he to that point, next man up, and when next man up is playing, and it's a younger guy. When you look towards next season, I've seen people talk about the defense next year. They think there could be more talent even on it. And to your point about them being willing to redshirt in unconventional ways, Van Poppel and Malachi Coleman are two of your biggest recruits out of that class. Those are not small time, 2 and 3 star kind of recruits and walk-ons. No, those are 4-star premier players in a class that are now redshirting in that second year because the guys in front of them are going to take enough snaps but those guys can develop again. They can also play 4 games this season and come back next year with that year saved.
We'll know it's working when we get to fall camp next year, all the guys we did this with are still with the team.
Yes.
So
blows up in your face if any of those guys leave, right?
Exactly. So if that doesn't happen, then that tells you something else, though. It tells you that these guys really have bought into. You have to be being developed for guys like that to stay around, and they have to feel it, and that tells you that these guys know they're being developed and know they're going to get better, and know that staying here and with our NIL the way it is, there's no real incentive to go other places. I feel like
plus we're winning games, we're winning games, we're getting to the playoff, all those things,
So it's like that we'll know a lot about this team going in the offseason when you look at how much roster fluctuation there is, especially with those young guys like what we're talking about.
And think about why you're doing that. Like we've talked about how Nair and Banks are 2 receivers that we just typically don't get usually in any given year, let alone the fact that we have both at the same time. And all of a sudden that size.
Well, I bet that changes for the next couple.
Well, but Malachi coming back. That's the thing. Those 2 guys are seniors. They're going to leave after this year. Malachi all of a sudden steps into his 3rd season. He's been developed this year. He's healthy going into next year. And all of a sudden, Malachi goes right into one of those roles and has an example to follow. He can be the next Banks. He can be the next Nair and have an example there. Van Poppel.
He gets to have a role model or with a mentor.
If we lose Nash or if we lose Ty last year to the pros, we could have easily with either one of them. Van Poppel's not redshirting right now, but we don't. Those 2 guys come back, and Van Poppel gets to develop another year, still play 4 games, which I love about that redshirt rule.
It's a great
still
rule.
Go out there and play 4 games, and then we graduate those 2 guys on. Those 2 guys go on to the pros. They have great pro careers, hopefully. And there's Van Poppel, who's been developed underneath those guys. He's going into his 3rd season.
It sounds so nice.
It's almost like Rhule's building something. It goes back to that Dion quote there. It's like we're building a program.
Yes.
I love it.
He's brewing something up. He's definitely brewing something up.
So John Field says, look at the line. Henry laid the player out. Oh yeah. Well, we'll get back to that play there. Genghis Corn, GBR, Husk Jerry, log in, see a Husker TD. Beautiful. John Fields, Sanders is losing stock with NFL with his jackass attitude, aka not shaking hands with Colorado State player after his game. Ego.
I mean, come on, isn't he the worst? I just the whole denial. Like he leaves the field, so he doesn't have to shake anybody's hand in our game, and then has the gall to say this guy's talking crazy stuff. I mean, come on.
1 week later, John Fields. Did you see a character interview with Pollock? He thinks we'll go to the playoffs. Great interview with him. I didn't see it, John. I need to. Carricker is awesome. You can find Husker or the Go Big Redcast on the Carricker Chronicles website.
He loves us. That's true. It's one of his favorites.
Very true.
He always says
Redcast Rob was on the sideline again for this week's game doing press, and I know at least during the UTEP game he was taking photos with Carricker.
Did he get some questions fired off?
He got some questions.
I thought I heard his voice.
He asked a couple questions to he asked one to Coach Rhule and he asked one to Dylan. Both of them about being 25% of the season and quarter of the season through. What would you how would you grade yourself essentially? Good questions. They led to great discussion by both guys. So So here,
That's
Max,
awesome. Thank you, Rob.
we'll go back to the this is the Nelson empty TD. So empty meaning there's nobody in the backfield with the quarterback. There's a tight end on the left, but it's a 5-man line against a 4-man rush. Look at this protection.
I know.
Look at that protection there.
Zero concern about being touched. And look at how he gets vertical.
So quick.
He's
So big. This dude is a matchup nightmare.
We're watching. It's just like what we were talking about, huh? We're watching the development of these young players. Sorry, you talk.
Oh, I'll talk. Mac's standing up. He's walking away for a second. But you're right, Mac. He's getting himself a drink.
I had to.
Well, this is like the intermission. So Redcasters, if you're watching along right now, take a second as well. Pour yourself a drink, or whatever you have at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday night.
Some of us have different schedules. There's no judgment.
Yeah, there's no judging here. This is Matt's rule. We're not judging. But I don't really have anything fantastic to say about this play. It's a 5-man line. They create a pocket against 4. Nelson gets open, and then he goes right up the gut, and he headed right for the end zone. Nobody was going to stop him. Mac,
what's crazy about that play is that he's already contributing. That's what's crazy about the play. He's looked completely at home in that position immediately.
In an 11-man football.
Yeah. He looks fine.
A year ago, he was playing quarterback, receiver, running back, a little bit of everything for 8-man Ainsworth.
The other teams hate him.
There were games where he threw for touchdowns, he caught touchdowns, he ran for touchdowns.
He was like Bugs Bunny on first, Bugs Bunny on second. He's like the whole damn lineup.
Well, and then if you go back to, I think it was January of this year. Did you watch when he played with Rhule in like the Polynesian Bowl?
I did. Yes, I did.
It was an opportunity. It was like shown on ESPN or one of those channels, and it was an opportunity for him to play a little 11-man football. And they connected on a couple balls down the field. And there's the talk of how do you develop him? He's going to get developed into a tight end, but right now he's going to kind of play this hybrid role. I don't really know that I care to see that role change. I think he could be very good, and I don't know that he ever has to be a true tight end.
It's so meaningless. It's such a like who cares? Call it whatever the hell you want to.
What I don't want to see is don't just get him up to 260 pounds, just make him 260 pounds.
What do you think he weighs right now?
Probably 260. I have no idea. I have no idea.
No, I'd say he's 240 at the biggest.
Yeah, right? Yeah, he probably is. He's
230 even maybe. He's not that
he's
big.
6'5", he's listed at 6'5", 230. And the point is, whatever the weight ends up being when he's a sophomore, when he's a junior, as long as that speed doesn't get eliminated,
not just the speed, but his agility. He gets vertical very
plays
quickly.
A certain style right now that if you
he looks like,
if you
dare I say it, Travis Kelce. Oh no! And we have Mahomes. This will kill people. Oh God, we got to change his number to 87.
Oh, that would be.
We
nice.
got to get him to 87. This will drive the Chiefs fans nuts.
All right, last offensive play that we'll show, Mac, and this is a touchdown with another newcomer here, and this is Barney on the reverse, and specifically here, I want to show what Porkatcher does. This kind of goes into some of the motion polling that we talked about earlier. There's Porkatcher lead blocking right now, but as the play goes back again, you'll see how Porkatcher starts on the right side. So he starts on the right side, and here he goes. He pulls around. So he is pulling and lead blocking the guy in motion. Look at him. He olays that dude. Don't waste your time blocking him.
So good
to get upfield. And then look at Barney being patient, stopping on a dime so that he can give Porkatcher the right angle to run behind him. He doesn't try to go to the corner. He cuts off of that.
I'm going to tell you something right now.
Barney's legit, dude.
Barney could have scored whether Porkatcher was out there or not. It was between this guy and nobody else. Like he only slowed down because he's like, I'll let him block for me. He was getting ready to turn on the Jets. I'm like, was there anybody outside here?
Yes. Because that receiver down there on the bottom.
Okay. But still, he was running them out.
Also of note, and I guess we'll see this when the play starts over again. This is some.
No, but great block. I'm not trying to downplay that. It was a good job by.
And this is some of the eye candy, I think, too, is, again, put yourself in the middle linebacker. Watch the fact that Ramir, the running back here.
Why wasn't that a late hit?
Ramir is going to the right there, I mean, that looks like that could be a pitch to him.
Oh, for sure.
Right. So,
Oh,
I mean,
for
again,
sure.
you're having to
Well,
cover
look at the
a lot of
linebacker,
things,
dude.
and there's a linebacker chasing him up there.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of things. You have to have really good eyes and be really well
It
trained.
doesn't even matter how good your
playing
eyes
against this.
are. It's going to cost you time just to kind of.
Well, that's the whole point about the good eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're chasing things that aren't there,
Mhm.
every little second, 1 second running to the left here, when Barney and the speed he brings is going the opposite direction, you're not going to be able to make that time up.
This would be a
And
good
so-
test. This Illinois is an
Illinois-
older defense. They're pretty disciplined, from what I understand. They're ball hawks, and so if we're really running our offense at a rate and a pace and a tightness that we've seen a few of these drives and some 2-minute drives, it'll be really interesting to see, because I think we'll get a really good idea of what kind of offense we have. I really do trust Dylan at this point to do the best job of protecting the ball and doing the check down. So it kind of comes down to what it always comes down to is how well does the offensive line protect him, and can we get the running game going?
Yeah. Erica says the more great stuff I see this year, the more I feel bamboozled the last 8-9-ish years. Arg. We should be expecting development, not like it's something super rare and unrealistic. Sigh.
Yeah.
I will say this, Erica. I think in today's day and age, though, too, with the portal and the way that
Kids these
players
days?
are just, I'll just say college football these
Get
days.
off my lawn. What? No,
The way that players are just transferring and coaches are leaving and players are, it's hard to build that development. It's something I appreciate so much about Rhule, and I think it's so unique in this setting right now, is the fact that we talked about it all offseason. He didn't lose a bunch of players, even when the wins weren't there yet. Now that the wins are here, this gets back to Malachi and this gets back to Van Poppel. And if you're communicating and treating the players right, and the wins are coming, and you have a plan for them. And look, the reason we're redshirting you is because these guys came back in your same position. Oh, by the way, they came back, and now they're going pro because they came back. And we're developing you so that you can take over that role. Like it becomes a factory. Like we're churning new guys out and developing them along the way.
I want us to develop. I want to be clear. I want us to develop from the high school level. That's how I want us to develop.
Yep.
However, if you're a high-ranking recruit and you go to a team like a Georgia, an Alabama, a Texas, someplace like that, where they've got a ton of those guys, and you're buried on the depth chart and you don't feel like you're being developed, and you see a team like Nebraska, and you do a little research, and you see the On3 series, and you see how they develop these guys, and you look at that fan base, and you look at, what their NIL, we become a very attractive place. I feel like we will become a very attractive place to like high-ranking, former 4 or 5-star guys that are just, for whatever reason buried on a depth chart. Like we will be a destination spot for those guys, and we'll do well with them. But that being said, like I just want us to do those for like assassins. I'm just looking for.
It has to be someone who's going to be number one. You got to be a good fit in the room, and also
totally everything has. To,
I am.
But that would be. But that would be the beauty of our position.
Yes, we're not in a spot where I would even say with the running back spot this year, when you knew that you had Ramir coming back and Irvin and Emmett Johnson, and I mean those 3 guys. I'm high on all those guys. I think Quentin Ives can play a role in this offense. Like we were not in a position of need. Like we have to just take any running back that comes our way. But if there's a running back out there, a talented running back, maybe from a school that's been having a lot of success and he's not finding his way on the field and he thinks he can come here and he can add something, would you be willing to take that if it's not, this isn't a high school guy, you're willing to take the transfer portal? Well, if it's the right fit. That guy was Dowdell.
Well, I've listened to his interview.
And you can say the same thing with the receivers and so on. I mean, that's just if you can find the right fit from it. I don't want to be living and dying in the portal, but if you can,
we won't. But
pick the guy you want. We won't.
We
won't.
I agree with you 100%. We can't live and die by the portal.
Yes, Nebraska's not going to.
That's not going to work. But for these next 3 years or 2 years or however, with the quarterback that we have and the momentum that we currently have, and I'm just gonna jump on board. Okay, I'm not waiting for the whole hold your horses guy. I'm just not gonna be that guy right now. I really like what I'm seeing. It all makes sense why it's working. None of it seems like smoke and mirrors. Are we invulnerable? No, but we're playing good ball right now. Yeah. So I'm just gonna trust that we're playing good ball.
One of the things too, and this goes back, I think, Erica, even to your point about development. Look at Harburg. And in this game, we saw one of the first times where he got out there in what I'll call some packages, where he played 3 plays in a row early in the game. He caught a pass. He got the ball handed off to him in the backfield. He also lined up in a true Wildcat QB spot because Rhule was lined up on the field too.
Yep.
But then he also comes in the fourth quarter and leads us down the field as the true backup QB.
Yeah.
And just flat out, it's against UNI, and it's against UNI later in the game where they probably have a few backups in there, but we had our backups in, and I don't care about that. He looked better than he did a year ago.
He did indeed.
He's developed. And so, look, I hope nothing happens to Dylan. I don't want injuries to any player at any position, okay? No. And yet I feel better, so much better at that quarterback spot today than a year ago at this very time, because we know what we have with Dylan, or we feel like we're getting, I mean, he is making a huge difference in this offense. Mm-hmm. But then even Harburg comes in with this much more experience, this much better. He's developed across the board. I trust him more in the pass game, and it's like we have two quarterbacks, I think, that can move the ball and can win at the Big Ten level that are proven, I feel, at that. And so,
they feel 100% great with Gramstad. They love that.
Yeah. And if we are at most playing, Daniel Kalen and his I was going to ask you about that.
His
elite 11 resume that he brought with him. If we're playing him at most 4 games and redshirting,
I was going to ask you about that. Isn't it kind of interesting that he hasn't been in at all? And I don't mean this in a way to like start a controversy. It's more like, do you think he's got a plan for him later in the season?
Yeah.
Is he trying to save his eligibility for the tail end of the season in case something happens?
There are key guys.
He's a big picture guy. He's a long-term guy.
I would look at a guy like Van Poppel. I would look at a guy like Coleman, Malachi, and those are guys that absolutely could contribute this season, but they don't have to right now. But to your point, and gosh,
I'm just saying 4 games.
This is knock on wood kind of territory. But you get into game 8 or 9, and now somebody goes down. Think back.
That's what I'm thinking.
Think back to the second season we were in the Big Ten when we had Baker Steinkuhler. Mm-hmm. And Baker Steinkuhler plays a hell of a game against Wisconsin during the season. The only time we beat Wisconsin while we've been in the Big Ten. Think about that. The only time. He lands on the fumble that Monty Ball had at the end of the game. Baker Steinkuhler, huge game. Then he gets hurt against Iowa. And there's no 4-game redshirt rules back then.
Right,
so we are sitting Aaron Curry and Vincent Valentine as true freshmen. We're not playing those guys. And we get to the championship game to play that same Wisconsin team again. And we're starting Cameron Meredith at tackle because we don't have any depth.
Yeah.
Okay. Fast forward to today.
That's the best NCAA change in recent years.
It is.
The
4-game rule is amazing because now we get to the end of the season and you have something, an unfortunate, incident that happens to one player, an injury, whatever it is. And now you need Malachi to step up. Mm-hmm. Now you need Van Poppel to step up into one of those roles. And they can, and they're not even risking their season.
Right.
And then, as we talked about in the off season, Boomer brought it up that you could conceivably redshirt after playing 9 games, because you could play 4 games in season.
Okay.
And then once the season's done, all those postseason games don't count against
conference championship games.
Championship
for sure.
And
they don't.
They don't. And then you play. You're playing in that first round. You don't have a bye, and then you play the second round. Then you're in the final 4, and you make it all the way to championship game. We counted up. You could play a total of 9 games and still redshirt.
But even still, for most teams, 5. Most all bowl eligible teams 5.
Sure, yeah, 5.
Okay,
right. So there's a lot of opportunities.
Which that does help when you got a lot of opt-out guys in the end of the year.
For Daniel Kalen and those guys that we're talking about that have been sitting so far, there's opportunities. The season is young, and I will also say, as we have knocked on wood about 30 times tonight, a true credit to the strength and conditioning, to the new $150 million Osborne complex, where they talk all about the importance of training and recovery and everything, is that at the very least, you're not seeing the little nicky-knack things.
I don't know why
big injuries
or bring that up.
No. I'm just saying, that's a we've seen it too many past years where it's the nagging hamstrings and things like that. We appear tough. We appear physical. You can't control big things. I mean, if guys blow knees out and things like that, I mean, my gosh, I think of the Wisconsin quarterback last week. That was horrible in the first drive. Nobody wants to see any of that stuff, and you can't really prevent that stuff. But the nicky-knack stuff, man, our guys are going to be banged up, but they're playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've enjoyed what I've seen.
Mm-hmm. Emmett looked jacked compared to last year. Genghis.
Yeah, he did.
Genghis says we beat a team by 31 and we kept them out of the end zone, yet a bunch of fans cried. John
I don't know if a bunch of fans cried. I mean, I don't know. Were a lot of people upset?
I think the point is, because I also heard like BA coaches, he said something on his show about this too. I don't know if it's a bunch of fans cried, but the ones that do cry, they tend to cry really loud, and that's what you see every time, right?
Can't argue that.
You can't. I mean, so John says if you listen to these players' interviews, every one of them are humble and bought into the team himself. I agree with that. Yep. Husk Jerry, NWC.
Yep.
What's that? Husk Jerry, maybe I might be missing something right now, but
Northwest
NWC.
Is there an I or is that an exclamation point?
No, it's an explanation. I don't know. I'm old. Cornhusker Corner.
Northwest Columbus?
I think that's right. Oh, that's where I'm from. It's hard to watch.
You did have a story from back home. I don't know.
It's hard to watch other games and not drink the Kool-Aid. Rhule is much better than 95% of the QBs I see. Or D is better than most I see. Real test starts this week. I agree with that.
But those things are true. That's the deal.
Yeah.
It's like, well, the defense is pretty bona fide. I mean, everybody can have a breakdown. Everybody can have a bad day, but the defense is pretty good. And I think I'm pretty comfortable saying Rhule is pretty good. And that's, man, you got a good quarterback and good defense. You usually have a pretty good team.
Yep. Erica says, so many years wondering if in the wilderness, long before the portal got going, we were in such a bad spot. So grateful for all the pieces coming together. Been way too long. Yeah. At the end of the day, Northwestern College. Oh, very good, Husker. Okay. NWC, Northwestern College, which is, of course, where Jalen Grahamstand comes from. Thank you, Husker.
Oh, man. Sorry.
We're slow sometimes.
Not even slow, just dumb. I didn't know that at all.
Genghis Corn, 35-17, Nebraska rolls. So, this is great. I love seeing the predictions. I love seeing the people excited.
35-17 would be fantastic.
This, you know what? How exciting is this game now? When it got announced there was going to be a Friday night game, I think some people initially, oh gosh, we're playing on Friday night. And I get it. That's a high school night, and it's not something I want to see a huge pattern of. But yet, if it's once or twice a season, and for right now, us being 3-0 against a 3-0 Illinois team, this is the first time that we're going to have two ranked opponents in Memorial Stadium since like 2013 when we played UCLA.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
For it to be on Fox. This isn't Fox Sports. This isn't BTN. This is Fox. This is national TV.
This ain't them scrolls over Fox Sports.
This ain't no BTN. Tom Brady does games on this channel.
Yeah. Every 5 seconds. Actually, I like that commercial.
I do too.
Yeah. But we're on Fox Sports. I drive a Dodge Stratus. That's funny, man. All right. Yeah, personally, me, I hate these night games. I work at night and I work on the weekend nights, and this is bullshit. Let's get back to 2:30 or 11 o'clock.
John Phil says, love that Lincoln changed all the high school games to Thursday. Also, I think Columbus, might be Fremont, Discoverers in Fremont. They're going to play Saturday in Memorial Stadium.
Why so?
Because Memorial Stadium's open, so they get to play. So the university's working with them, and they're playing a game there.
Okay.
I think that's. I mean,
cool. That is cool, but I thought it was going to be more of a reason.
No,
because it's there.
because the stadium's empty on Saturday. I think it's cool that instead of
not
just
an event,
sometimes make lemonade out of lemons, right?
Okay.
People can complain that Friday night should be high school football, and I God, 90% of the time I agree. But let's make a really cool day out of a Friday night event with two conference teams.
Oh well,
that are ranked playing each other.
Here's the thing: really cool. Everybody makes a big deal about everything, and then every game day is about the same. It's like everyone's going to go and have a blast. It's going to be a great time. Everybody who can will try to watch a game. I'm going to be useless at work for the first couple hours.
I agree with Cornhusker Corner a million times here. BTN coverage last week was miles better than the CU
100%
broadcast. Yeah, no kidding. So Mac.
Yes.
I know.
Do we?
Should we go parting shots?
We just kind of went all over the place.
This is what Matt's rule is all about.
This is just to get it all out, kind of feel, it was great. This is really cool for me. I really enjoy this. It was just interesting watching a game, knowing that, yes, it was frustrating not getting off on defense like I thought we should.
Mm-hmm.
But then as soon as we get the ball, we just march down the field and score. And every time I see our quarterback play, I fall a little deeper in love, and I'm just like, we're in pretty good hands here. I like the game
Yeah.
stats calling. I like how we're integrating the run and the pass. I like how many guys we're getting involved in the passing game and in the running game, and not just running backs with wide receivers and with those sweep plays.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like how the defense is rotating young guys. I like how we're spreading them out. I like how we attack. I like that we're developing pass rushers that are getting to be such good pass rushers that we have to play a game against a run team to remember, hey, we also have to protect against the run. I like all that, man. Like, there's a lot I like.
Boring.
We didn't talk about
best.
special teams, but boring is best.
Boring is best. And what is boring is best? What does that mean in response to what Rhule has talked about? It means going out there and getting the lead, and then keeping the lead, establishing the lead, and then running that clock out in the second half, doing everything to never give the opponent a chance to ever feel like they're back into it. Did you feel at any point in any of these three games, once we really got to, I'd say, the first quarter, once we started to establish that lead, at any point did you feel we were going to lose any of these first three games, the last 2-3 quarters of each game?
Basically, every game has been in hand at halftime.
Yeah.
Every game has been in hand at halftime. Here's what I will say when people, when I think myself personally, I get concerned about when I hear him say, jump out to a big lead, run the game, or run the ball, bleed the clock, get the hell out of there to win. I don't have a problem with that. I like that philosophy. My problem is this. I don't know, because of last year's history, how you do in close games then yet, where I feel comfortable enough to not see production in the second half and feel good. You know what I mean? Like, I still need to see you guys scoring points, because I'm concerned that now in the second half, we're not going to be able to score points in a close game, because we haven't been doing that very much. So and I think that's why most Husker fans are like, okay, it's cool that you say that. I need to see us be able to do the other thing first, and then I'll totally believe that this is what we want to do, and I'm fine with that.
Sometimes you got to take a little.
I need a little proof of concept on close games right now.
I think you take a step back to take a step forward. Right now, we haven't been challenged in second halves, and because of that, we are doing the boring. It works. We're getting backups in. Ton of guys are playing. The number of snaps that Nash has taken so far through 3 games compared to a year ago, he's taken like 66-70% of what he took a year ago. That's going to keep these guys stronger as the season goes on.
I feel like that's probably true for everybody almost.
Across the board almost, right?
Offense too.
And so the good news about that is that, that means you're getting backups in. That means these guys are going to be hopefully healthier. That also plays into the overall health of the team. They don't have the nagging injuries. They aren't playing as many plays. But if you really need to see how we're going to do in a close game in the second half, then you also have to be willing to not bitch about it after the game gets done that, well, we didn't have it in hand by halftime. I mean, the people that
we're not there yet, though. I don't.
Well, what I'm getting at is those loud fans that we talked about earlier that were screaming about, giving up 3 points, essentially. If we go out and we play a really good second half and we score some points in a competitive game and we win against a ranked Illinois team, and then the comeback is, well, geez, it was only a 3-point game at halftime. You can't have it every way. Right now we're blowing teams out, and people don't like that we're not doing more of that in the second half. And it's like, look,
it's the same vocal minority though.
Yeah,
idiots.
And when they're loud, they're loud. So.
And but I would think, to your point though, there'd be a far less population of that group. If we were winning by 3 at halftime and jump out and we win by 14, then no one's going to complain. I don't think anyone's going to complain.
I love this from Braska Rascal. He goes, it's starting to feel like Rhule has the program defrosted and now going in the right direction. Give me a picture of the Rhule aid. So, hey, I think that's a great sign there. We're 3 games in. If you didn't have the Rhule aid prior to the season, I think people are starting to get it now. I think most people that I talk with, at least that we talk with, are more than bought in. Most of people were bought in before the season started. We're bought in with what Rhule's doing, but it's great to see all that, get it, lead to the victories. Everything come together all at once. It's manifested itself now in winning football. And we have some of that momentum that we have talked about for so long, for so many seasons. And then after this week, when we knock on wood and everything good happens and we beat a ranked team inside Memorial Stadium for the first time, in however many years, and we go to 4-0 and we move higher in the top 25, then we can worry about what that next challenge is. Hey, now we have to go on the road after 4 home games. Okay, great. Let's just keep slaying one beast at a time.
As a fan base, we're incredibly adaptable. We can adapt very quickly to new expectations. We can adapt very quickly to new like planes of existence. Like once we've gotten to the 3-0 status, now it's like, well, shit, we're as 3-0 as anybody else in the country.
Remember preseason, if we can just get to 7-5, I'd be happy. Remember, a lot of people saying I'd be happy. It's funny when you're 3-0.
I said
when you're 3-0,
everything changes after 3-0.
Yeah, if you're 3-0 right now, are you happy at 7-5? It's just funny because things start to change, right? And all of a sudden, some games at one point look to be easy. Hey, Indiana's going to be an easy one, and Illinois shouldn't be very difficult. They look harder, but then that Wisconsin game, and they haven't looked good, period. And now their QB is
that shit never matters to me.
I never care
how the other team looks. When you play them, how good they are that day is all that matters. Like to me, like you've seen that too much. Good teams lose sometimes. Bad teams win sometimes.
And the opponent's us.
Unless you're us.
Are you getting better?
Yeah.
Are you getting better each week or not? If you're taking a huge step back, and if we truly go out this week, to the people that were complaining, the loud people that we don't tackle well, and we come out this week against Illinois and we literally lay an egg tackling, right? We lose by 20 points because, we have every run that Florida has that Illinois has is a Tommy Frazier run against Florida, breaking 10 tackles. Okay, if that happens, then you're taking a step back. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. You've taken a step back. Every week is a chance to go 1-0, get better, improve yourself. Yeah. It's the chasing 3 mentality, which, by the way, I don't know when the next chasing 3 came out. It's probably right now. Well, right? It probably went up right against us. Who knows? But
let me say this though. You have another show this week, so you're probably gonna.
I'm not doing another one, but the other guys might be. I think.
Well, then just what are your thoughts? I don't think that if we play good ball, that this has to be a close game. I still don't think this is necessarily the game that we learn how we are in a one-score game. I really don't think that. I think the way that we've been moving the ball, I think the way the offense has gotten better every week. Yeah. The offense has gotten better every week. The defense has been very consistent and shined week to week. Last week was a different story, but you illustrated even some of our bad plays. These aren't like necessarily missed assignments. It's just other teams making plays. So you're seeing development. You're seeing progress within both units. The special teams has gotten better. We still got to know a little bit more about those boys.
Yeah.
But if we're doing those things right and we're getting better, we're a better team than Illinois.
Sure.
We're a better team than Illinois, guys.
We're a better team than everyone on the first 7 games of the schedule.
What's the spread? 8.5?
I haven't even.
I think it's like 8.5, 7.5. Chad, help me out if I'm wrong, but yeah. But basically, Nebraska is a team that covers now. We cover.
I
don't think it necessarily will be the 1-score game thing.
This is a night game, Memorial Stadium, 400 saw. I have no reason to feel like we're going to do anything other than come out and play a great football game.
I heard we're coming out in all black uniforms.
You did not hear that.
I didn't hear that.
You did not hear that.
But when they do that light show, you should see what they're going to do. There's like a reflective quality in the fabric. You heard it here first.
All right. Yeah. So Nebraska, it's 8.5 point spread right now. So
8.5. That's a big spread.
I'm no less. I've said all along that we were going to be bowl eligible by the time we played Ohio State. That meant I was giving us a loss that I can't see which team is going to be lost. I'm just trying to be realistic in that sense. But I don't feel any less.
Why would you?
Bullish now.
Why would you feel less confident now about this team?
There's no reason.
This team has answered. What questions? I know this is closing, but whatever.
The longest parting shots ever.
Doesn't even matter. What questions has this team not answered for you that you had in the preseason? I mean, it's really done a good job of maybe special teams. Place kicking is the one question you're like, I don't know if we've gotten better there, but short of that, that's kind of a big one.
Well, it's a big one. Unless you're just scoring touchdowns all the time, but like we did last week. But we've shown up well, I think, in other parts of special teams. I think our punting has been has led to some flipping the field in some cases.
Punt returns have been
amazing. IGC doesn't
totally
get talked enough, and it's little things he's
doing.
And
I blame Boomer.
I don't know if IGC. Do you think IGC is going to take one to the house this year?
Yeah, he probably will because he's getting really good at fielding them. And not that he's terribly explosive. He's super consistent, but they're going to sleep on him and he's going to gash somebody. I do think so.
He is just not afraid. He is not afraid to catch that ball in a lot of situations there.
The only chance he doesn't is if Ja'Cory just takes over the spot. The more that guy gets the ball in his hands, the better.
We've blocked field goals already. We are this close to blocking a punt. And
all right.
So
anyway,
all those are good signs.
Parting shot. Sorry. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know if I've mentioned this already. Have I mentioned that Oasis is getting back together for a tour? So to all my 90s fans out there, did you hear about this? Liam and Noel have made up. This is fantastic news. They're doing a tour in Europe first, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they make it through that without, too much turbulence, they don't kill each other. There's a chance there'll be a North American tour. And this guy's going.
It was the Jane's Addiction, Perry Farrell and
yes,
Dave Navarus or whatever the guitars. Those two got in a
Dave Navarus.
Navarus, is that? Anyways, Bazooka, right? Moscow. Anyways, they got in a fight on stage.
Yeah,
and it was Liam Gallagher.
Yeah.
Tweeted at it saying something like, "Oh, that's so unprofessional."
And that's funny.
I just thought that was the funniest thing. We're all on the floor laughing.
Dude,
there, so.
One of the best bands ever, not just the 90s ever. I said it.
Genghis didn't listen to them in the 90s and won't 30 years later. Oh, mortal enemy, Genghis there, Mac.
It just seems so mean to do to your ears. I don't know. Were you listening? What?
Anyways,
I don't want to get into insulting content.
Yeah. Hey, we love you, Genghis, but
we don't know that for sure.
We don't have to agree on the same music there. So, all right. Well, until next week, hopefully we're going to be 4-0, higher ranked, 1-0 in conference.
Time out. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I meant to do this. It's been driving me nuts. To any students watching this, probably none. When you guys do this, all right, and the opponent has already had a couple first downs in that drive, it looks dumb. Okay, this is for 3 and out. This is 3. This is out. Where's the camera? 3 out, 3 out. Okay. So if they've already got a couple first downs, you can't use that anymore when you throw the bones. Just throw the regular bones. That's fine. But it's situational. I don't feel like we're talking about that enough. They're doing that all the time, and it's incorrect.
3 and out.
3 and out. I know Honke hates this because he thinks it's a Cosgrove.
Well, Cosgrove I think that was a Cosgrove.
Either way,
thing.
we've adopted it. So since we've adopted it, let's do it right.
I agree with that. If you're going to do it,
let's do it right.
Do what the intent of it is.
So we punted them. They go the first 3 plays and don't get a first down, and they're going to punt. Now's the time. All right. But if they get a first down, not for the entire drive. Can't ever use it again. So I think we can do it. That was embarrassing last week. They showed the crowd and the student section in particular, and they kept doing that. I'm like, they've had so many first downs this drive, and they're still doing this.
We went
it right.
We went through the film there. We showed all the first downs they did get. So I don't know what I'm not sure what hand movement could be like 12 and out, but that's about what it.
Well, unless they were doing this. Now, if I'm reading that wrong, and you guys were flashing how many first downs they had, I apologize.
All right. Well. Until next time, Redcasters, that's another Matt's Rhule, GBR.
A Herd at Sports Network production.